All right, so if we're starting our Algebra 1 review for Semester 1 final, the first part is solving for a variable. So we want to get x alone, so we're going to add 8 to both sides. 4x equals 28. Those cancel out because they're inverses. Dividing by 4, so x equals 7. Number 2, same idea, different process. Instead of a negative number, it's a positive, so the opposite is to subtract. 6x equals 12. Divide by 6. X equals 2. You can always check these problems by typing the solution in for the variable. So 6 times 2, remember anytime you substitute, use parentheses, plus 3, and it equals 15, so I know that my solution is correct. Number 3 is a little bit more difficult, so you have to simplify first. So anytime there are parentheses, we distribute to get rid of the parentheses. 5 times 3a is 15a. 5 times 2 is plus 10, plus 4 equals 59. Now we're going to combine like terms. 15a, 10 plus 4 is 14, equals 59. Now it's just a two-step equation like 1 and 2. Minus 14, 15a equals 45. Divide by 15, a equals 3. Number 4, same concept, except it's moved to the right side, so we're going to distribute to get rid of parentheses. 56 equals 4 times 4p is 16p. 4 times 1 is 4, minus 3p. In this problem, combining like terms, we're going to put our variables together. 16p minus 3p is 13p plus 4, equals 56. Subtract 4. 52 equals 13p. Divide by 13. 52 divided by 13. P equals 4. Again, if I wanted to check that solution, I would do 4 parentheses 4 times 4 plus 1, close your parentheses, minus 3 times 4. Which equals 56. Number 5, we have variables on both sides. Anytime there's a lonely variable, I like to put a value with it, so the coefficient is 1. When variables are on both sides, you're going to move the smaller variable. So I have -1 and -4. -4 is the smaller variable. It doesn't matter which one you move, both will give you the same answer. But if you move the smaller variable, most likely you will not end up with negative numbers. 1, -1n plus 4n is positive 3n equals 7. Subtract 1 from both sides. 3n equals 6. Divide by 3, divide by 3, n equals 2. Same thing for problem number 1. We've got a lonely variable, so let's put a value of 1 with it. 1a and 2a. 1a is the smaller, so we're going to subtract 1a. 6 equals -1. 2a minus 1a is positive 1a. Add 1 to both sides. 6 plus 1 is 7, equals 1a. You can divide by 1, or you can just know that dividing by 1 doesn't change anything, so a equals 7. Number 7, same concept again, because we have variables on both sides, however we have parentheses, so we need to get rid of our parentheses first. So distribute that value outside the parentheses. -28 plus 8p does not change on the left side, but on the right side I end up with 8p, 8 times p is 8p, and 8 times -4 is -28. I look at the two variables, which one's smaller? Well, they're the same. so it doesn't matter which one I move. The opposite of positive 8p is minus 8p. I'm left with negative 28 on the left side and negative 28 on the right side. Since this is a true statement, the answer is all real numbers, or you could say it's infinite solutions. If you did this problem and it ended up saying negative 28 equals 14, since that's not a true statement, that would be a no solution. And number 8, again, variables on both sides, but I have parentheses to distribute to get rid of first. 20 minus 6m equals 7 times negative 2m is negative 14m. 7 times negative 4 is negative 28. Of my two variables, negative 14m is the smaller, so I'm going to do the opposite, which is plus 14m. 20 doesn't change. Negative 6m plus 14m is positive 8m equals negative 28 is left over on the right side. I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides. So 8m equals negative 48. Divide by 8, divide by 8, m equals negative 6. Number 9 is a word problem. You own a small business that produces stadium cushions. Your costs are $2,200 plus $6 in materials for each cushion. $2,200 plus $6 in materials. You sell each cushion for $10 per cushion. How many cushions must be sold to cover your cost? So I'm going to subtract 6x because that's my smaller variable. 2,200 equals 4x. Divide by 4, divide by 4. 2,200 divided by 4. Oops. 2,200 divided by 4. You must sell 550 cushions. 10, 11, and 12 are also solving. However, we incorporate inequalities. Remember, inequalities are greater than, or less than, greater than, or you can add an equal to bar with them. The one thing to remember is if you have a negative coefficient, you must flip the sign. So I have problem number 10, which is negative 6r is less than 24. So I'm going to divide by negative 6. R and 24 divided by negative 6 is negative 4. However, since it was a negative 6 that I divided by, I'm going to flip my inequality. Instead of being a less than, it's going to be a greater than. So my solution is r is greater than negative 4. So any value greater than negative 4. So I find negative 4 on my number line, and I draw a fence around it because it can't be equal to negative 4. R is greater than negative 4, so which way do numbers get greater? Going up. So all of these values, anything up here, would be a possible solution. Number 11 is a two-step inequality. So you treat that inequality just like an equal sign to solve. So I add 4. So x divided by 3 is greater than or equal to negative 2 plus 4 is 2. I'm going to multiply by 3 to both sides. So x is greater than or equal to 2 times 3 is 6. I don't flip anything because my coefficient was a positive value. So I find 6 on my number line and I fill it in because the answer could be 6. And x is greater than or equal to 6. So which way do values get bigger? Going up. Number 12 is going to be a multi-step inequality problem. So I'm going to distribute. 25 is greater than or equal to 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times negative 2b is negative 12b. minus 5. Continue simplifying your values. 6 minus 5, but let's put our variable first, negative 12b plus 1. Continuing to solve, minus 1 from both sides, so 24 is greater than or equal to negative 12b. Divide by negative 12, divide by negative 12. 24 divided by negative 12 is negative 2. Since I had a negative coefficient, I'm going to flip the sign over. So it tells you, if I read it variable first, b is greater than or equal to negative 2. So I'm going to find negative 2 on my number line. I'm going to fill it in because b is greater, or b is equal to. And since b can be greater, I'm going to again shade up. Now every example on your formula or on your review has shading up. You would shade down if x was smaller. So if I had the inequality x is less than negative 8, I would find negative 8, and since x is less than, getting smaller is to the left, so I would shade below. So to review for your final, make a little sheet of concepts on this first page. You need to be able to solve equations. So that involves two-step, multi-step, variables on both sides, and special solutions, like all real numbers and no solution. You need to be able to solve and graph inequalities. That means you need to be able to know when to make an open dot or a closed dot. You need to be able to know when to shade up or down, and you need to know when to flip the inequality.